Call the January 9th, 2023 meeting of the Lone Star Economic Development Corporation to order at 6:10. Hopefully everybody's signed in, guests. Now's the time for public comments. If you have public comments, you may address any situation you would like to or any issue you would like. Do we have any public comments on the floor? Okay, no public comments. We'll move on to consent items. The minutes of the regular meeting on December the 5th and the special meeting on December the 12th are attached to your agenda for your review. If you'll take a few minutes and look through those.
The 12th is not in there.
The 12th is not in there?
You sent those to me.
See that?
Yep. Yep. It's been one of those whirlwind days.
Mhm.
Strike the 12th, they're not in there.
Yeah, 12th's not in there.
I'll include it next one.
I make a motion, we approve the minutes of the regular meeting on December the 5th, 2022, and minutes of the special meeting on
Mm-mm.
December the
We
12th.
can't do that
No.
because she didn't put it in the packet, that's okay.
Huh?
You can only do the 5th and 12th is not in there.
Oh, okay. Scratch the 12th.
So,
Anyway, I make a motion to approve the minutes of December 5th meeting.
okay, I have a motion, do I have a second? Second from Allison. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we're gonna move on to action items. Action item 4-1. Review, discussion, and possible actions on a prospective final resolution for the basketball court and the installation of goals. You're aware of the special meeting we had on the 12th. On the 5th, we addressed it, it's in your packet. We had a meeting on the 12th, and after that meeting, you guys gave me the authorization to send a letter to Lone Star Concrete Technologies. In that letter, we indicated to them that we felt like the job that they did was inadequate, and that they had expressed the issue to us that they were willing to come in and redo it, but if they redid it, we would have to pay for additional materials. Otherwise, all they were gonna do was come in and put some paint, and correct me if you think I'm wrong with this, but they were gonna put some paint over what they had already done and put a little bit more sealer on it and call it good.
And
It's
the
fine.
star.
The star. Yeah, and she argued with us over the star, saying it wasn't her contract, and when I showed her our contract and it was in there, she said, oh. So she said, well, we can put a star on there. So anyway,
And we were gonna have to pay for those materials.
yes, ma'am. And I sent her that letter, I sent it to all of y'all to approve, gave a copy of it to the mayor, let him look through it and approve it before I sent it to her. And as directed, you guys had also directed me to tell her that, we were offering to just give her an additional $2,000, no more, we didn't want her touching the basketball court, we just worry about it some other way.
Well, my
yes, sir.
feeling on that was that if we didn't offer some kind of a small monetary amount, we was going to court, and it would cost us more going to court than give her $2,000.
Yeah, I think we'll
And let
all
them
agree with
wave
that.
them goodbye.
You know, she was at our meeting on the 5th, and then after I sent her that letter, she responded to me on the 28th of December, because it took us a while to get together, remember? And get everything together with a letter, and you can read it. It says, per your email, it appears to the board is under the impression we are asking for additional payment for repairs. Just to clarify, that is inaccurate. I'm not sure that's an inaccurate statement on our part. I think that's what she
Oh,
said.
is this where you're reading from?
I'm reading for this one, that she can copy of everybody too. This one right here.
The way I understood it was just to spot it like she's talking about, they weren't gonna want more money.
Right.
But to do it correctly, they were gonna want more
Right,
money.
and part of the problem is we talked, that they had admitted to us, basically what you're saying is that they had done it incorrectly, but they weren't willing to redo it without us paying for additional materials. And we said, we're not gonna do that, that wouldn't have done it in the first place. She goes on and says, as stated in the recorded board meeting, Lone Star Concrete is not asking for money to purchase materials. Here again. Okay. I already agreed in the EDC meeting to pay for any product needed to make repairs, and nowhere in my contract do I mention additional money for repairs. But that's what she told us sitting here that. Am I incorrect in stating?
Lead, yes.
Just to make sure we're on the same page, let's recap. Lone Star came out and restored the basketball court. It rained later that evening, which was not predicted. After that, you and Garrett met, repairs to the following day, and he advised you that filling in the expansion joint was not advisable, that he could make repairs on the rain damaged spots. I sent an email the very next day laying out what we were willing to do and never received a response. Weeks later, I come to the EDC meeting where you all agreed to let us come back and fix the rain damaged spots for no additional cost. Now the EDC is saying you do not want us to fix the basketball court for free in exchange for final payment. Okay, is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
She wanted the additional 10,000, is that the way I understand it?
well, but that's not what she's saying in this email.
Am I reading it wrong?
No, in this email, she's saying that, you're under the impression we're asking for additional payment for repairs. Just to clarify, that is inaccurate. I don't think it came up about the repairs. What came up was the fact that she had said, yeah, we could redo it, come out and redo it like we needed to redo it in the first place, and then you'd have to pay for additional repairs, okay? And we-
But she says, in exchange for final payment, I think that she's referring to the full final
Yes,
payment.
that's correct. That is correct. So what she was wanting to do was just come back up and throw paint, and kind of patch it, and discover another $10,000. And to me, that, my opinion was, that was unacceptable, and you guys voted on that and said, no, we're not gonna do that. So at the end of the meeting, the decision was made to send her that letter and offer her the 2,000 and say, don't worry about it, because they weren't intending on fixing it properly in the first place.
I wonder if she's afraid we're gonna give her bad reviews.
Ma'am?
I wonder if she's afraid we're gonna give her bad reviews.
Oh, I'm sure.
Besides bad reviews, why can't we take them to court?
Well, we haven't yet because we were trying to get it resolved outside of that.
Yeah, me too, but whenever you start changing, the contract that the original made, you're making changes, right?
Well,
And you
We
agreed to
didn't.
change.
we discussed
We didn't.
that, and we decided that we didn't wanna get in court with the city attorney that cost $600 an hour. Now, that was discussed.
Yeah, but we have $10,000 that we haven't taken, right?
That's correct.
Right, we can use that.
Oh, I agree.
Of course, I have no doubt that we can, they didn't do the job that they agreed to do, and we just need to hold them to it.
Right.
And
And we,
if they can't perform, we need to get that money back.
and she and I had talked on the phone. She called me and we visited on the phone.
Mhm.
And we visited for about 45 minutes on the phone. And I believe you were there when we visited on the phone. And I told her, I said, right after it was done, the reason it came up in the first place was the day after the work was supposedly completed,
Mhm.
they had sent an invoice to Tina that they were demanding payment
Yeah,
within 5 days.
I saw that. copy.
Okay. And so I asked her to send Mr. Williams out here
Mhm.
and meet with me because there were some issues with the
Yeah,
basketball.
I remember that.
And whenever we got out there and I started addressing the issues, he came up with all kinds of excuses.
Yeah, I heard.
And that's when he said, that's what I get for getting involved in this blankety blank
Yeah,
town.
ring
You know, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
And I thought, it's better us not talk anymore.
That's
because I don't
right.
wanna.
That's right.
So I waited, and that's when she called me on the phone. And I tried to resolve it with her on the phone, explain to it. And her contention was, well, you know, I said, well, I don't understand why you came out and did it on a Sunday without letting everybody know that you were gonna do it. well, that was just the best day we could. I said, well, our expectation and what you explained to us is you would let us know before you came out and got started on it.
Right.
That wasn't done. What was that, actually a 3-day job, or should have been a 3 or 4-day job? You did in 1 day. And the surface that was supposed to be on there is not on, it's,
Right.
and she kept saying, well, the rain washed it off. Well, I didn't pick the day for you to
That's
do what
right.
you did. And, so anyway, so that's where we're at right now.
Can I say something?
Yes, ma'am, you may.
In my notes and from her conversation, she stated they came out on November the 3rd and did the acid wash.
Right.
November the 3rd is a Wednesday.
Yeah.
I didn't know if y'all caught that
I
or
know,
not.
I know, after we,
And then they finished up on it on Sunday.
yes.
It had already been exposed to rain after the acid washing.
I did not pick up on
I
So,
didn't pick up on the dates until I started looking at the
Yeah.
minutes and stuff and pulling my calendars out, and I'm like, wait a minute, that's,
yeah, she said they
there
had
was
actually
3
come out.
days exposed to rain after it had been acid washed, so I don't know that
And that in addition to the fact that, you know, they did clean up, we have pictures of that. I mean, it was just a comedy of errors, it seemed to be. And then when we addressed the issue of, you know, things weren't done all the way up to the edge of the basketball court.
it. And she admitted to us in this last meeting whether that was the first job they've done.
second,
Second job, was it
Yes,
second?
that's correct.
second.
Not very many.
And it's like I tried to explain to her, I said, you know, if we had hindsight's 20/20.
Yeah.
And if we had have known that this was the result we were gonna have to deal with, we would have never awarded them the contract anyway. And the reason they got it in the first place was because we knew they were a small business.
Mhm.
You know, we knew they were starting out, but they had a reference saying that they had done a good job on the previous job. And what we were trying to do is get more small businesses involved, so on and so forth. And they're also minority owned because female owned. So, I expressed to her, that was taken into consideration when we awarded them the bid. So they're not willing to, I haven't heard anything else out of it. So, I just wanted to let you know that's where it's at. I don't think we needed to do anything else. I mean, we've done everything we said we're gonna do.
Has she sent you notification that she's rejecting the two?
She hasn't sent me any communication whatsoever.
Just let it ride until she contacts us again, or her attorney.
So,
If we get contacted by an attorney, then we need to turn and go after this.
well, I don't intend, and we discussed it at the last meeting about the fact that there are some people on this committee who did not wanna pay her any money at all. And then we went back and everybody talked, said, no, let's just be fair about it, and we still get no response from it. So, anyway, that's where we stand right now.
Well, the best thing she can do is take $2,000.
Well, but we're gonna leave, my opinion is, y'all are in charge of this deal, not me. My opinion is we don't let it ride forever. I mean, I'm not gonna
Well,
let,
should we answer this email? Now the
that's-
EDC is saying you
Yes.
all do not want us to fix the basketball court for free in exchange for the final payment. Is that correct?
that's what she's saying.
So, an email, yes.
I will draft that up and send it to each of you so you can look at it. I'll give a copy of it to the mayor and let him look at it, and if everybody approves it, then we will send that to her. I'll get that done tomorrow.
Where is that email?
Sir?
Where's that email she's talking about?
That's one I brought you,
This one?
yeah,
Yeah.
at the top.
With the large print at the bottom?
Yeah. The one at the very top is the one she responded to us.
But all they wanna do is come out here and make a bigger mess than what they started with, by just spotting it here and spotting it there. Spray a little sealer here, spray a little sealer there, that's not gonna fix the problem.
We gotta hold them to what they contracted for, and if we make any changes, we're in trouble.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
now we're,
We're not gonna make any changes.
We didn't make any changes, the star was in there in the first
well,
place.
when we offered them $2,000, that's a change. And that just, whenever you have a contract, that.
So you're in favor of going ahead and paying them the 10,000?
No, they don't pay the 10,000 until they finish the job.
They
If
even
they're not
had,
gonna finish the job, we go sue them for the 10,000 that we paid them already, recover that 10,000.
I think we sue them for the whole amount if we go that
That's
route.
that's all we paid was 10,330.
Yeah. And,
They even had a kid out there bouncing the basketball while they were working, and they didn't stop him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't see that, but we are very disappointed, because the way he sold it to us, said it was gonna be slick, and we said, should we put some, borders on it to, they said, no, it's gonna be ready to go the next day.
Yes.
This thing just dries up real quick.
And when you talk about the basketball being, pardon me,
Mhm.
being dribbled on it, they were, if this is the basketball court and the goals are down here, they were working on this side, and a kid walked up and started bouncing the basketball on this side. And my question to them was, did you not put any tape up, or did you not let anybody know you were working on it besides being there? Well, we didn't think that was part of our responsibility. Well, yeah, you're working on it.
Mhm.
Well, he did it, and then we told him that he needed to leave, but there's nothing we can do about it, make it mess it up. Well, that's on you, that's not on me. You know, you're the one contracted to do the work. So, I will draft the email, somebody make a motion, let's do it that way, and then we'll go from there.
I've got a comment if y'all wanna hear it, on the thickness of the finish.
Okay, go ahead.
West, I've looked at it a couple of times whenever we went out to measure the basketball goals and stuff, since we're gonna be putting them in. Over 50% of that court is less than 1/8 of an inch. So if you actually get down there and look at it, you can see the concrete through the finish. And, I mean, an adequate coverage is 1/8 of an inch plus, right? So you're looking at 125 thousandths or more as adequate coverage. There's less than 125 thousandths over 50% of the court. So there's no way to come back and patch it. I mean, it's gonna have to be redone.
Totally agree.
That's what I know about the finish, in my opinion, so.
You're right.
And the reason I'm asked, Mr. Young here this evening is because, he bid and we accepted his bid on the basketball goals. Well, the problem with that is, the way they're gonna be put in, they're gonna be buried in 5 feet of concrete. So once we put them in, there's no changing them, there's no changing the dimensions or anything like that. So before we can do that, we have to make sure that either we're gonna have something else done to it, we're gonna leave it like it is. We have to make that determination, and the first part of that is getting this taken care of. Okay, so, because, he already has he's had the goals ready to go up, to be put up,
So they're not adjustable like the
yeah,
ones you have.
they're indestructible, basically.
Well, I say they're about 1,800 pounds a piece, and they're 6 foot, we put them in 6 foot of concrete, 18-inch hole. And when they're there, we'll set the rim 10 foot off the concrete. Now, if you're gonna refinish it, that's fine, 1/8 of an inch isn't gonna matter. But if there is any discussion or maybe in the future of redoing it, the basketball court sits in a hole now. If it is gonna be redone, it would need to come up probably 10 inches and then pour concrete on top of that. So you'd have 14 inches of rise if it was to be redone, completely. So I don't wanna, I'll do whatever y'all wanna do, but, if we set them now and y'all decide it's cracked, it's falling on this side, we're just gonna redo the whole thing, then it's not as easy to cut them things loose and add 10 inches to them. I mean, it'd be a pretty big project. I'd rather set them where they're gonna be and where they're always gonna be, you know, so that's kind of, where we're at with that, but.
So we've offered her money. Try to get her to run from it, basically. I'm telling you, if we go to court, you're gonna spend another $20,000-$30,000 in legal fees, guarantee you.
In this last sentence, she doesn't mention anything about the $2,000.
She didn't even address that. And we'd have, Mitch, we would have to go to small claims court, we wouldn't be able to go.
Yeah.
So you're not gonna,
Still gotta have an attorney.
well, I know that, but it's not, I don't think it's gonna be as much
And by
as you
law,
think it is.
we.
But my deal is, I don't wanna spend any money on an attorney at all. And if it comes out to where that's what we have to do, I think we go after them for court costs, because That's not our fault. They're the ones that messed it up. They're the ones that signed the contract. She kept bringing up the fact that her contract didn't say that. I said, but you signed our contract. Our contract is the one that's binding.
So you're
When-
saying that we would not need an attorney, this,
No, I'm saying that even if we got an attorney, I don't think it would be as expensive as what you're saying if we went to call small claims court. Now, I could be wrong.
Well, with all due respect, and dealing with the attorney that we dealt with in that last case, yeah, I disagree.
But there's nothing that says we have to use that attorney.
Don't you have to use a city attorney?
don't
Can
think
we,
so.
can the EDC go out and get their own attorney?
Find out.
I don't think so. Huh?
I would think so.
We'll find that out, if the time
That would
comes.
have to be-
Hopefully, the time won't come for that.
That would have to be authorized by the city council.
Yes, I agree.
To allow the EDC to go out and get another attorney.
Right.
Uh,
And we've
I think
been,
I think we're fixing
we
to
beat
muddy
this
the
horse
water.
to death. Huh?
I think we're fixing to get in and muddy the water.
So what are you saying then? What's your option?
Reply yes to this email, that is correct, that we do not want her to fix the basketball court for free in exchange for the final payment of $10,600 or whatever it was. Is that correct? Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
We don't want her to go back and do anything because we believe that her fixing it is still not gonna be satisfactory. If she
You know,
believes that that's an eighth of an inch, and she believes it's satisfactory, and we've already determined that it's obviously not, then
I
we're
don't-
never gonna agree on that.
I don't think that they've got the money to fight it. I don't think they intend to fight
Should we
Just-
again put that $2,000 on the table?
it. No,
No?
no. I think we should rescind the $2,000 offer and, basically tell her, we'll see you in court.
Or asking for the money back? Maybe they don't
Well,
wanna
you
hire.
can ask them for the money back, but, I don't think they got the money. She sat right there and started crying when we started talking about money. Now,
Christmas and children and all that.
rescind the $2,000 and, just like I originally wanted to do, I see in court. So, I mean, we're spending way too much time on this project and way too much money.
But we're learning.
If we bring the lawyers in on it. And
Yeah.
if she gets a lawyer, you're gonna have to go get a lawyer. I don't care if you go to small claims or not. And if I was sitting on city council, I wouldn't go out and get, let you go out and get another attorney. I'd make you use a city attorney, that's what you're paying for. Now, is he any good? I don't know. He didn't do well on that last one.
Okay, so we're gonna send her a letter. We already have a motion on that, correct, Tina?
It was discussed, but I don't think we have a motion.
Okay, so somebody, we need to make a motion on that, please?
What kind of motion you want?
Motion that we email her back. Yes, that is correct.
Okay.
Email back saying that we reject her offer or what?
And we don't want
We
them to come
basically-
back.
Felipe, we basically already objected to her offer. We've offered to settle the problem. We don't have to deal with them anymore, and then we have to address the issue of, are we gonna fix it ourselves? And
Okay,
it's gonna get to the point that it'd be better just to take a bulldozer down there and bulldoze it down and build a new one. That's the way I see
Well,
it.
I've
so is
heard
that a
this-
motion that we email Melissa back?
Yes.
And what are you gonna tell her for sure? You're gonna reply to just yes in reference to the email, but you're not gonna tell her any action, what you're gonna do or what?
Can we ask her for the money back?
No,
Whether she can,
they attempted, I think we just need to leave the money alone.
I agree with that.
Yeah,
I think
we're not
we
gonna
need-
ask for the
I think
$10,000 back.
we need to leave the money alone right
Okay,
now.
But-
okay,
Yeah.
just.
We're
yeah,
trying to
thank-
get her to make a move, yay or nay, that's what we're trying to do.
just-
Well, we're trying to get her to come back in and do it right, is what we're trying to do, that's the ultimate goal. But that's not gonna happen, she's already expressed that to us, not without us spending more money,
She's
and
gonna
we're
want
not
you
gonna
to,
do that.
she's gonna want us to spend the money to fix it, cause she don't
Yeah.
have it.
Exactly, we're not gonna do that.
So this would be a $10,000 lesson that we learned.
So a motion that we email Melissa back and respond to her as yes to her email.
Well, I
But you-
don't know if it's, yes, it can be considered as a lesson to us, but, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose.
Sure, that's what I mean, and it's okay.
Well, as many times as we try, we get bids, we go through the bids, you know, we had one company that decided after we met with them, they didn't wanna bid on it, because it was just, they didn't wanna mess with it. The other company who bid on it was, somebody who we had used to bid on something else, was trying to help us get a grant, and there were what we felt like was way outside the scope of what we wanted to spend. And then we had this company that bid on it. And, so we thought, you know, with the reference being made for this person, or for this company, that they probably would do a good job based on their, and they didn't do a good job. So, you know, sometimes you get that, unfortunately, but I'm not, into throwing good money after bad, so. So we'll reply to her, and that's fair, and I'll get the reply ready,
I need some more action on this motion.
okay? What do you want us to put in the email?
Well, first of all, y'all are just saying a motion that you reply back and respond yes.
That's what they're saying.
Well,
I
They
understand.
it needs to
I
be,
understand.
it needs to be
Agree
in
to
more
that
detail
motion.
for a motion.
Well, there hasn't been a second yet, right?
No,
Correct.
well, yeah.
So you're wanting, what else are you wanting to put in the communication back to her?
What is the expected, or what are we expecting or requiring, to complete what we've already said?
You gotta understand something. If you keep replying to her, she's gonna use every bit of that as ammunition when she files a lawsuit.
Well, I understand that. That's why I'm telling you.
We-
You
we
guys tell
can't-
me what you wanna say in
I
the,
know.
Well, I mean, her response here says, now the EDC is saying you all do not want us to fix the basketball court
That's
for
not what
free
we- That's not what we said. We want-
in
see,
exchange.
she's just reading what she said.
I know.
So that's in writing, that she would fix it for free.
She's gonna spot fix it.
She
She's
wants
gonna-
to spot fix it and us give her the $10,000.
That's exactly right. She
That's
wants-
what her
she-
expectation
She has no, she wants the $10,000.
Yeah, she wants to spot fix it, come out, slop some more paint on it, and say that's good to go, and go on down the road and get her $10,000.
The key word is fix on this, and her offering is not a fix.
I know.
It's a
It's a
Band-Aid.
patch, and the thing about it is
Needed to
that,
make repairs. I already agreed in the EDC meeting to pay for any product needed to make repairs.
Does her,
It would be a complete repurchase
but that's
of
not
all
what
the
she's,
product.
yeah, but that's where she's contradicting herself in the email. Cause at the email, she says, you know, I'm not gonna be, not asking for additional payment for repairs. Okay? She said she's not asking for money to purchase materials. She's already agreed to pay for any product needed to make repairs. Okay?
Can I read y'all a comment
Sure.
from the meeting that I was here at?
Mm-hmm.
Mitch questioned what could be done to make it right. It was suggested to touch up the area that the rain messed up by applying more paint to these areas and put another coat of sealer over the entire basketball court. These touch-ups would be done at no additional cost to the EDC, but may have a slight variation in color from the original paint. If we want to have the entire court repainted and resealed, then the EDC would need to pay for the additional supplies.
That's correct.
That was from the previous meeting.
That's what she's talking about in here.
Uh,
Is that she's agreeing to come out and do the patchwork, put more paint on and more seal, we give her $10,000. But she's not willing to come out and do a complete redo without us paying for materials.
I don't think we need to respond to her at all at this time. The ball is in our court right now. Let her make the first move. That's what I think. We made her a fair offer. You hadn't heard from her, from that, maybe she'll take it, but I wouldn't respond to her. Let it lay, see what she wants to do.
Yeah, I believe the gray area is in what she considers repairs consist of and what we consider repairs would consist of. And
She's
that's
well-
the gray area that needs to be black and white before you move forward on that.
She's well aware of what we're expecting
Yes.
because she made the comment about her coming up and doing the patchwork and doing the fresh paint and the spot work she's talking about, and then we would probably still not be satisfied.
That's correct.
But
Because
she,
there's no
at
big-
this time, she has not responded to your email.
No, sir.
I think we set on it, see what she does.
I
Okay,
can't
I'll
say
second
very
that.
much.
Okay, so hang on. We already have a first and a second, so you gotta rescind the last motion that you made and remake a new motion.
Okay, I rescind my motion to respond on her email, and
And what's your new motion?
you're making the new
yeah.
motion.
I make a motion that we don't respond to the lady at all until we get a response from her.
And I second that.
Okay, I have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So that's what we'll do. Anthony, as soon as we get information on installing the goals and all that, we'll get a hold of you, okay?
Okay.
That's all I know to tell you.
In their opinion, we should have been satisfied with what they did. Which we're not.
Okay,
Do we owe him any money for his expense already?
for him,
Mm-hmm.
he told me that he wanted payment once he get the goals installed.
Yeah,
I-
no, that's
Because
fine.
I did,
Is that
that's
okay?
got a
Yeah,
contract.
Yeah,
with
that's
it.
fine. Yeah, that way we'll be done and.
Let me ask a question. Is the court in the condition that we can't go ahead and put goals and stuff up? Or would you advise us not to until we get it?
Well.
Cause that could be 6 months, 8 months from now.
Right, well, the question that I need to answer to is, if they decide not to fix it, what is your action going forward? Are you, I mean.
I'd put the goals up and let them start playing.
Okay, but,
I have made the statement in the meetings.
right,
This cannot be an NBA court.
Right.
I mean, in 6 months from now, when people start playing on it, it's gonna be bad shape again. They don't care about it.
okay, but what I'm saying is there any chance, any possibility whatsoever, you're gonna have somebody tear that court out and redo it right?
I'm not, how much money are we talking about? Ballpark figure.
About $45,000.
I'm not in favor of that.
No,
I think we go with what
like
we
you
got.
said, the people playing on that court, they're not gonna care.
If that situation came up, I would have to vote no.
Okay, cause what I'm saying, for the court to be done correctly, it needs to come up almost 2 feet. So, I mean, you go from a 10-foot goal to an 8-foot goal.
Right.
Or you talking breaking all that concrete out, yanking everything out, I mean, it would be a nightmare to take them out and redo it. But if there ever was now you could get it done cheaper, you know, you could probably be in the $25,000 or $30,000 range, you know, without all the paint and sealer and all that other stuff. You just pour the concrete, put a couple lines on it, let them play. But to paint it up and do the star and all that, you know, like an actual basketball court, you know, it's gonna cost more money. But, so that's what I'm getting at. If there is a possibility that you are gonna do that, then, you know, probably needs to be kind of thought of before we make these things. I mean, we put them in the ground, they're never coming out. I mean, without heavy equipment and excavators and jackhammers, and I mean, it's a permanent deal.
Mr. Young?
Yes, sir.
I don't understand what you say, right now, you could set a 10-foot, and if you do something, it's gonna be an 8-foot. Where do you get it?
Okay, so the basketball court now, half of it's broke, right? It's falling off to one side.
Right.
And it's got about an 8-inch drop where the concrete's broke and it's falling. So what I'm saying is, if you're not gonna have them come back and fix it, right? So if there's no action at all going forward, that's fine, we'll put them where they're at.
Right.
But if y'all decide to take that concrete out, do the dirt work, bring it up 8 inches or 9 inches, and then pour a new concrete slab, you're gonna come up about 18 inches overall. Because right now it sits in a hole and the water runs on top of it, and it sits on top of it, which made the concrete break. Anyway, so if you do decide to fix it correctly, your goal is gonna be 18 inches short. Your concrete's coming up, the goal's not gonna move.
Yeah.
So it's 10-foot regulation from the concrete to the center of the hoop. So if y'all decide to do it, scratch all this and pour new concrete, all that's gonna come up 18 inches.
Yeah.
We have to turn around and, like I said, rip everything out of the goals.
Well, no, not necessarily. Remember, the court is not official, right?
But
The length is not
but
official.
18 inches differential, I mean, you gotta be close.
Yeah.
But 18 inches, I mean,
There
And
were
the goal,
missing-
the hoop is 18 inches high.
No, the concrete's gonna be 18 inches?
if you decide to redo the concrete and the dirt work,
Yeah.
it would all have to come up 18 inches to make it correct.
18 inches?
Yes.
I thought the concrete is 4 inches, right?
You've
He's
seen,
saying
you've
to
seen
get
the
it where it
court.
wouldn't stand water.
You've seen the court, right?
Yeah.
It's in a hole,
Yeah.
right? Because it's too low. And the dirt needs to come up 12 to 14 inches and then pour a
Oh.
4-inch slab on top of it.
Oh, I see.
So then the court would be above the ground where water doesn't
Water would
stand
run
on all
off
the
of
time.
it.
Yeah,
rather
That's
than
why it's
run
cracked
off.
and busted now, because it's in a hole and water stays on.
No,
Not-
that's not gonna happen. We're not gonna spend that kind of, we're not looking at.
Would not,
No.
down the road,
Yeah.
and the court itself takes the abuse that it gets, okay?
Another 10
Would it
years, the
not
court's
be,
gonna be
would
split
it
in
not
half.
be better to go out and consider building a new basketball court from the ground up?
That's
Well,
what he's talking
That's what
about.
I'm talking about. But what I'm telling you now, in 10 years, there's gonna be a 2.5, 3-inch gap in that concrete. Cause it's already got a 1/2-inch gap on one side where it's falling off down the back of the hill. It's already dropped 8 inches in one corner. One freeze, gets water in there and it breaks and expands, it's gonna bust even further.
I understand.
So, but what I'm saying, if we go ahead, I mean, I'll do whatever y'all want me to do. I'll put them in the ground tomorrow, if you want me to. But what I'm saying is, it would cost $5,000 to $6,000 to come back and rip all that out of the ground, get all the concrete out and reinstall them again, if you decide to build a new basketball court. And it doesn't have to be that big. If you wanna save some money and you're not worried about regulation, cut the court size down. Save on your concrete. See what I'm saying? There's a bunch of different ways to do it.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying, it's gonna be counterproductive, and it's gonna cost you twice the money for me to go back and take everything up again, and then put them back in the ground again if you decide to fix the court. So,
So, did I ask a question a while ago, what would it cost to build a new court?
well, and then again, if you want it painted with all the stripes and the stars and, 100% like an actual basketball court, you're probably gonna be $40,000.
When I grew up, we played on the dirt. There was no concrete courts. We played on the dirt.
So, with that being said, if you want just a center line and a 3-point line, something like that, and seal the concrete and cut, right now, it's almost 3,000 square feet. No, it's 3,800, it's almost 4,000 square
Almost
feet.
4.
So, you could cut that in half and still have a big basketball goal, or a basketball court, and do something else on the other end. It doesn't have to be as big as it is. It depends on what your budget is, what your target number, and then we could build around that. But if there is a possibility that you're gonna do that, I don't see a point in putting all them in there, making them exactly 10 foot, just to come back in 6 months and try to get all that out of the ground. Like I said, it's not a simple process. They don't bolt in, I mean, this is concrete
Well,
trucks.
we're
and
talking
big
about
barns.
two different things. We're talking about the basketball goal, okay, the goal, where the ball goes.
That's what he's.
Correct.
Okay, that, but we're also, is that concrete, is from listening to you, apparently, we got a major problem right there.
You do.
So if we spend the money on the goals, at some point in the near future, we're gonna have to dig them up and build a new basketball court.
You're right.
And
So
see,
to
we
do it
were,
now would save money.
I say, if
In
y'all
the
wanna
long
meet,
run.
I can show you, if you, anybody wants to meet me out there, I can show you. I can take my laser out there and show you that if you're looking at the basketball court, when you pull up, the back side of it has already broke off and fell 8 inches. It's got an 8-inch fall
Right.
across that concrete.
I saw
There's a
that.
big old crack through there. Every time it rains, water gets in there and washes out that base a little bit more, a little bit more. And then when it's cold, it gets in there and freezes and expands and busts it even more.
So here's the question. Do we spend the money to build I'm not for pouring money into the old,
Correct.
but do we spend the money to build a new basketball court that they're gonna tear up in 6 months once we open it up? They don't care.
Well, I tell you now that you could hang a car off of the basketball goals. They're not gonna tear those up.
They're
They
not,
can't.
you're saying they're not gonna tear them up?
They can't.
Goals.
I'll guarantee it for life. I mean, we're putting chains instead of nets.
Well,
I mean, like it's.
let me ask this.
So,
Our original proposal was that we were gonna use the little baseball field for other things. Would it not be beneficial to go down there and build a smaller basketball court, like you say? And use the old one as a pavilion
See,
that we
that-
have been talking?
that's what we, if you remember, when this all got started, the reason we were gonna spend the money was because we wanted to use that as, later on, when we had the money, go out there, get a cover for it, or at least a half cover, and use it for community events. That was the purpose
That was the
behind
original goal.
doing what we were doing now, because we were told that would take care of it. You know, they didn't tell us what Anthony's telling us about it falling off the end and all
With
that.
the new cover that we paid for, or paying for a pavilion, would
We're
that,
off topic.
huh?
We're off topic.
Okay.
so what's the question?
I don't have one, I'm off topic.
I believe that what he's saying is if we started from scratch, from
Correct.
the smaller
Mhm.
baseball field and put in a smaller basketball court,
Mhm.
what would that cost?
It would greatly depend on the size of the court. I mean, like I said, if we cut it in half, and go to 2,000 square feet, versus 4,000 is what it is now. Just a little narrower.
Could you get a regulation basketball court in 2,000 square feet?
No.
So
Regulation, I believe that one is regulation. It's gonna be 4,000
Now,
square.
is that the court itself, or is that the outline concrete?
That is the concrete pad itself that is there. It's 4,000 square feet.
Why
No.
would somebody build a 4,000 square foot basketball court just for a pickup game of basketball?
I have no idea. Let's see.
There were people sitting around several years ago, like we are right now, making that decision. And they put the fence around it, and it was a tennis court and a basketball court.
That's why it's so big, it was a
Yeah.
tennis court.
It's actually 700 square foot shy of a regulation court. A
Okay.
Regulation
So
court is 4,700 square feet.
So we go to the little field and build a, what,
30 by 30.
30 by 30, and people can play basketball all day long.
On both
Put your
ends.
goals in there and they're not gonna tear them out, and we utilize the old basketball court as our pavilion. That's what I'd like to see talk about. Solves two problems.
Well, we'll have to talk about that at another meeting, but right now we're just talking about the issue right here and how we're gonna deal with that. And then we'll have to decide.
Like I said, yeah, our schedule would just depend on the solution that y'all reach with Lone Star Technology, whatever you're gonna do. If you're.
Have you built the goals?
Yeah, they're at my shop. So,
What do we, I'm sorry, what do we owe you for that?
44.
4,400, 4,500, something like that. So, like I said, if, and that was my only concern, is if you decide to rebuild it, to do it correctly, we need to come up, 14 to 18 inches. And if we do that, then obviously the ground's coming up, the gold is coming down, that would put anywhere from a 15 to 18 inch deficit, depending on exact measurements. And so,
Anthony, ballpark figure of what it costs to build a smaller basketball court on the little old baseball field?
25,000.
Okay? My next question is, Tina, how much money we got left?
You got it on
You
your
got it right
paper.
here.
Is this all bills paid?
But the thing about it is though, Mitch, is we can't talk about that right now.
Okay.
We have to bring that issue up in another board meeting and, because all we're doing now is talking about this. We can talk about resolutions at the next one. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I make a motion that we stop all construction and all consideration for the big basketball field until further notice. Well, can I not do that?
We already have. a
You've
motion.
already got a motion on 4-1 about.
About the email.
But tabling it, and that's good, that's same as you're saying, no
What
action.
motion did I make?
No action on
You
number
made a
one.
motion to not respond to Melissa until we hear from her. Ally seconded, all present voted aye.
Is that the only motion on the floor right
That's
now?
all you made, that's,
It was already voted.
I think we need to do some more investigation of what a new basketball court on the little baseball field.
we make that as a new agenda item for the next meeting.
Yeah.
I'm right now.
I'm in
Okay.
favor, let's do it for next time. Let's keep moving.
And if Anthony needs to be paid for his work on the goals, we need to consider.
I asked him already, he says he's gonna wait till we make a decision.
Well, he may have changed his mind.
No interest on those, goals, is there?
No, it's easy to get paid if you do what you say you're gonna do.
Okay, so let's move on. 4-2, review, discussion, possible action on installation and removal of Christmas lights, payment for services for installation and removal, and management of roadway traffic in accordance with state DOT guidelines. Okay. As you recall, we were asked to pay for putting up the Christmas lights this year. And we told them we could not do that because it's really not an EDC function. So we had 2 people volunteer to donate the money to have them put up. And John Montana came out and put them up for us. He also, it was one lump sum price of $800 for him to put them up and take them down. He did that, but when he was removing them, normally what we do is when he puts them up, takes them down, we have one of the police vehicles follow him with the lights on to take care of traffic, to make sure that they know there's somebody working there, stuff like that. Well, for some reason, odd reason, I don't know what it was, that didn't happen. There wasn't police, well, the DOT man stopped him on the road and asked him what he was doing, and he said he was putting up the Christmas lights, they're taking them down. And the guy said, well, you can't do that because your vehicle's in violation of not making sure the traffic was out, blah, 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 blah. John told him, he said, well, I've put them up for a couple of years now, nobody's ever said anything. I'm like, well, the guy didn't write him a ticket or do anything like that. He just told him we needed to make sure we properly address it. So what we need to do is make sure that whoever we need to get a hold of, or however, I told the city, I've already told Randy that we can't pay for them, and he's aware of that. But we need to make some consideration, because when it comes up next year, if they want John Montana to put the Christmas lights up, they're gonna have to do something to make sure
It's safe.
that the roadways and the DOT guidelines and everything else are taken care of, so they don't get in trouble. And the reason we brought it up now is because it's far enough in advance to where, that can be taken care of. And I'm gonna address it with the city council, and let them know
Rudy,
the same situation. Yes, sir.
the problem is that the police department did not support our efforts. Now, that's the problem.
Well, I don't know. I know they were supposed to do it, but I didn't know why they didn't.
The first, that other year,
Yes, ma'am, they did.
they were supposed to do that,
Yes.
and they weren't there.
I had to
And
go
Leslie
find,
and I were behind them with our emergency flashers on. And the police department finally showed up later in the afternoon, and they just stayed a little while.
So what we need to do then is address that with the city. That's a city issue.
the city council needs to tell the police chief that he will provide a car.
Right. Well,
for
and I'm not defending anybody, but I'm telling you this, a decision needs to be made 3 weeks before it has to be done to get it done. That's where the issue is. They came to us 2-3 weeks and said, oh, are we gonna put these up? Well, we can't pay for them. We just can't, you know? And we had you and Randy stepped up to volunteer the money for it, and that's how we got them put up. Other than that, they wouldn't have been put up.
I haven't noticed, are they all down now?
Yes. Yes, and one of the things that happened was when we had the storm move in, right around Christmas time, I got a phone call, and the Christmas tree up there, the topper was laying off in the middle of the parking lot, and the tree was all falling down, so I had to pick all that stuff up, put it up there.
It damaged it.
It bent one of the star on top, it bent it a little bit, but it didn't hurt anything else.
That Christmas tree's a pain in the neck.
And, anyway, so,
Need one like Devon's got out there with all that music.
I'm trying to do this and
Nice.
then get approved. So anyway, I think what we need to do with this is somebody just make a motion, I'll take it to the city council.
I make a
Discuss it.
motion that item 4-2 be taken to the city council for their input and, information.
Okay, have a motion, have a second?
Second it.
Have a motion, and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 4-3. Review, discussion, and possible action on bids for the repairs, installation of baseball field fencing.
Can I speak just a second?
Yes, sir.
And Rudy's got more information than I have, but I just want to tell you, this is a big deal for the city of Lone Star. Because it complements the park and it's just a big deal that we get this done. We've got a window to join the other cities to field teams, and, I think you will be amazed that of the number of people that will come down. That park will be filled every time we have a game. It's just the nature of it. And, you know, we used to, when I was growing up, we used to be in the same league as, with Dangerfield. And if you've never played where you played before the schools merger, or school merger, it was a big deal to get Dangerfield to come down here. They hated coming down here. We've got an opportunity to make a statement for the city of Lone Star. We need to get this fixed. Now, you tell them what you know.
Well, and I'm gonna do something here, and the reason I'm gonna do it is to make sure everybody's on the same page. I'm gonna ask Anthony to not be here for this part of our discussion, in case his company wants to bid on that. And that way, nobody can say he was here to influence or hear what we have to say.
I think that's a wise move.
That's just a smart thing, and then we'll go for, okay?
Ain't no problem.
All right, thank you,
Thanks.
sir.
Y'all have a good evening.
Appreciate you. Thank you for the input on the other.
That's a good move.
Well, I don't wanna jeopardize anything that anybody can bid on. Okay, this started, way back about a year ago. We had some individuals who had a youth, baseball team who went down and they cleaned up the baseball field and they were using it to practice on. And they told me at that point in time, they would like to schedule games down there, but the condition the fence was in and all that, that it wasn't conducive to them doing that. So we started talking about it back then, and then since then, I've been in touch with 2 or 3 of the baseball leagues, Dangerfield being one. We have a code enforcement officer now who is on the board with the Dangerfield Baseball and Softball Association. The opinion of the people that I have talked to who do that kind of stuff told me that if we get this baseball /softball field up and running, and we can do the concession stand, and we can do the bathrooms, which is a part of what we're looking at anyway, that there is a potential, not guaranteed, income of between $10,000 and $14,000 a year for the city of Lone Star. Now, that does not include if these other businesses open that we're working on now, having an opportunity for someone to stop, to eat, things like that. We have this hotel they're working on that's gonna sometime hopefully get up and running. So there will be a potential if somebody wanted to spend the night. We have Rocky Point that is attracting visitors from outside. So it's not that we're wanting to do this and spend the money and not get anything out of it. It's the fact that if we do this properly, we have an opportunity to actually bring income in to the city, which would do 2 things. Number one, it would offset any potential cost. Eventually, it would pay for itself. It would take a long time to do that, but it would. And number 2, it would give us the opportunity to have something else in town to give people a reason to come to. And with the other businesses we have, that's it. We have discussed, originally we had 3 firms that bid on this project back when we were originally talking about it in the summer. We tabled it at that point in time. I have talked to 2 of those firms today, and they are willing to rebid, since we don't know product costs, things like that. They are willing to, we'll get the bid ready and we'll send it out to them and have them rebid it again and look at what costs they're wanting to charge us to do it. One of the firms is out of, I can tell you who they are. One of them is Rafter Aerial Services out of Pittsburgh, Texas. I talked to him for a while today. He had originally bid on it in 7/12/22. Ma'am? Rafter Aerial Services out of Pittsburgh. And I had his original bid here, and then also Mr. Young's firm bid on it. And he told me he would like to bid on it again. That's why I asked him to leave. So he didn't know specifics of what we're talking about. Understand this is to redo all of the fencing around the baseball park.
Do we have a listing?
Sir?
Do we have a list of all that we want to have?
Yes, and what I'm trying to do is combine, what I'm doing right now, and I can give y'all a copy of this tomorrow if you'd like it, is I'm trying to take the bids that I got, look at them and see if there's any adjustments that we feel like we need to make sure we have everything covered. Because I don't wanna leave something out. The only thing this does not address is lighting, concession, and restrooms. Other than that, it covers the fencing, covers putting new dugouts up, it covers putting either a 4x8 or a 5x10 structure added on to a dugout that is closed in with a lock to mitigate anybody getting into there as much as possible, for later on putting items that you need to keep up with the baseball field, such as the chalk marker and things like that. I have already had a commitment from one of the baseball and softball leagues that if we can get the baseball field up and going, that they would commit to me that they will be playing at least 2 games a week throughout their season. And their season starts in March and runs through the end of April. At that point in time, as the sun stays up more, we have a potential to attract 1 or 2 tournaments, which is where we will make more money. The only thing we have to do between now and then, once we get the bids, take it to the council, show them what we have, get that up and running. The only thing we need to worry about is restroom facilities and
The way you
concessions.
do that is with Hugh Springs and Dangerfield having fields. You play on 3 different fields.
Right.
So you can invite more
Exactly.
teams.
Right.
There are 2 guys in Longview that are running all of the baseball, flag football, soccer tournaments. They're making $250,000 a year apiece. It's that big.
Yeah, it's big. And the thing about it is that if you
And
get
now
this.
you got little sissy playing softball
Yes.
and everything the guys are.
Right, and the thing about it is if you're, I've been involved with softball now for some years, you know, I coached for a while, then I'm umpiring and all that kind of stuff. So I get a chance to travel around a lot to all these facilities. And believe me, guys, Dangerfield and, Jefferson and places like that, they don't have a nicer area than what we have down here. Their fields are fixed, I mean, by that they're cleaned up, the fence is right, but they don't have a major league type stadium. It's a plain old, and they have tournaments all the time. So what I'm looking at is how do we bring more people in here? How do we get them to spend their dollars here and go home at the end of the day, or go home at the end of the week?
Look at it from a different view. How does a hamburger restaurant or
Yeah.
another Arnold's or whatever, those teams bring that kind of
Yes,
business.
exactly.
Well, Dangerfield doesn't have a venue like we have, with a
No.
lake in the background.
That's correct.
There is a group of men in
Hugh Springs
Dangerfield,
doesn't either.
there's a group of men in Dangerfield that are trying to negotiate for about 99 acres. And they're gonna go to the Texas Parks and Wildlife and put a big facility in. And
Well, you know, we tried that, and we
there's
didn't
some-
get
there's
we didn't get the,
people that are serious about it.
we tried that, put in for a grant for all that, and we didn't get it, remember? So, that's,
All right, let's
I
keep
think-
going.
Huh?
Can you finish up on what you have in store for the fence, for the baseball?
yes, and the thing about it is, I was told, well, there's 2 firms that wanna bid putting the fence up. I went to a firm, let me see if I even have that information here with me, I think I do. And they handle what's called Specco fencing. It's the fiber fencing, like a mesh fiber fence, you know, where you could fall over if you catch the ball. It's not, but the thing about it is, just for the fiber fencing, we're talking around $35,000-$40,000.
So why were we even thinking about that?
Well, because you have to get 3 bids, and I'm trying to get 3 bids, okay? The other 2 bids are locally, I mean, they're relatively local, one in Pittsburgh and one in Omaha. So if they can bid on them with the other bid we have, we'll have our 3 bids.
Right.
We put it out like kind, everything is the same, nobody's gonna bid on anything different, you know? And they've all said that they are willing to rebid that project if I will send them the bid. So what I'm trying to do is put it all together, I'll send it to you guys by email, you can look at it. Then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to the council next Thursday and I'm gonna say, you know, this is what we're doing, we got our 3 bids here, they're going on. And we've already got the approval for the park project, but we're coming to you saying, this is what we wanna do with the baseball field and this is why. Okay?
Good.
So,
So we need
I
to get
wonder-
moving.
I
because
wonder
March
if
is
we
coming.
could consider the old timey way of building a fence,
What's that?
build it out of wood, make it look good.
Do you know how much wood is now?
I think it's cheaper if we do the labor and we get men down there that know what they're doing.
If you
and
buy-
build a fence in 2 days.
If you buy, let's say the 2x12s, you know, like for the seats, $100,
The seats for what?
like for the bleachers.
Bleachers.
Oh, okay.
You're talking $100 per piece of wood. I even considered thinking about, instead of just putting chain link up, why not put the R4 paneling on the outfield? You know, 6-foot R4 paneling all around, because then I mean, what are they gonna do, paint it? It's virtually indestructible. But you're adding another $10,000 onto the cost of a fence. I don't wanna spend that additional money, you know? But that's options we have to look at. Those will be put in the bid to say, you know, here's option one, here's option two, and let them do what they want to. Okay? So I just need to know, is that something y'all wanna do? Is it something you don't wanna do?
So you, what are you asking for? A motion to carry?
What we need to do is make a motion to go solicit bids to try to figure out about the fencing at the baseball facility.
So, can I ask you a question?
Yes, ma'am,
You
you
made
may.
reference to our panel, you made reference to cyclone fence, and
Uh-huh.
you made reference
Yes.
to this spec note.
All of those are options.
I would have to see, or I would like to see a fence built with it.
I'll give you, if you'll, I'll call you in the morning, give you the website. You can go out there and pull it right up.
If we're
Just
gonna
put
have
that in
bids-
your, whatever you send us, just send us a
Yes.
list, we can look at it.
Yeah,
Well, and I hope this is part of what
It
we're
is.
talking about. I see 4 projects. Fencing will be the cheapest, I think.
ready? What's the other three?
Lights,
That's all down the road, we're not even gonna discuss that right now. I understand what you're saying.
Bathrooms,
bathrooms and concessions.
concessions.
Well, maybe concession bathrooms, because the way
Right, sure.
we're headed, I take that back. I would like authorization to go to the Texas Parks and Wildlife and see if we could get a grant to build a complex. I'd like the board to approve me for that.
I don't have a problem with that, that's a, we have to get that on the next agenda, because we don't, you know,
I mean, that's fine.
we'll put it on the next agenda and talk about it.
I think we can get one. I really do.
My, well, I'm not gonna say what I was gonna say about that.
The number one requirement from the Texas Parks and Wildlife is you own the property. If you don't own it, or like.
Mitch, we owned the property the last time and we didn't get it.
Well, that's. when is
But
that?
there's another reason behind that, I don't wanna go into that,
Okay.
okay? So, I guess,
I'm willing to try with Texas Parks.
what we need to do is, if you want, I need a motion on 4-3 to go get the bids and take it to the council.
I make a motion that we, ask for permission to get the fencing material and installation, if that's what you're asking.
I'll second. And that's,
Okay. So I have a first and a second. All in favor?
Now, that's 3 bids per,
That's 3 bids for the fencing, yes, sir.
okay.
So you're making a motion to get bids for the fencing,
Yes.
and you're gonna have as an option in these bids, these are various types of
Yes,
fencing.
ma'am, that's correct.
And what are you gonna do if you get no bid on some?
If I'm gonna get no bid on some,
Because you're gonna have some people that's gonna,
I'll try to get another bid, but if I get a no bid, I'm gonna say I got a no bid. I don't know what else to do. I mean, there's other firms I can go to, I'll just have to do that. You know, there are some companies, they're not gonna bid on a job in Lone Star, Texas. I promise you, that ain't gonna happen.
Why?
That's what happened with that one firm. They didn't wanna bid on it. After they'd already
Two
sat there in
guys
that,
that come here?
after they'd already sat there in that meeting, I don't know why, they were out touting, they would not bid on it. They did.
maybe it's too far.
Yeah, it could be, with cost.
What'd they drive up here for? They know where Lone Star was at.
It'll make no difference.
we got a second, didn't we go?
Yeah, I got a second.
So,
Second was Felipe,
I got second from Felipe.
and then everybody voted yes. Okay.
I have a
4-.
motion that we, either discuss it next time
Yeah.
about
We'll put it on our agenda
doing
for
the
next
grant
time.
for,
Yes.
I got a motion.
and I would help you with that, I would like to
Okay.
learn that.
We'll put that on the next agenda. Okay. 4-4, review, discussion, and possible action on repairs and replacement of bleachers. This is, goes along kinda similar but different. You know, we have
This is
got.
4-5?
Yes, sir, 4.
4-4.
I have talked to, 3 different firms. one of them different than any ones we're talking about here, about coming in, if those bleachers can be refurbished, or if we just need to think about doing something entirely different. Two of the firms that I've talked to said they could probably come in and sandblast those, and put new wood on them, and they would be fine.
I'm kinda curious. For the last 4 years, I've followed my grandson all over East Texas. Most of the places you play, you bring your lawn chair.
It's true.
I mean, we may not even need bleachers.
That's up to y'all, doesn't matter. I think you
Until
need one
You go
section.
to Texarkana or Tyler or something like that, you bring your lawn chair.
Most places they're flat. In our case, it's peculiar in that we have a clip on one side, on the
That's
third
true,
base
too. I
side.
didn't think-
That could be, of course, that could be.
Could be
rented.
terraced a little bit.
You can bring a dozer in there and terrace that out and.
It'd be
make it
great
look
for
nice.
lawn chairs.
Yeah. What it does with the lay of that land, it sinks that field and you're looking down on it.
Mhm.
So my question is, do you want to entertain that option? And if you do, you guys wanna take it on and see what we can come up with on that? So we don't have to spend the money on the, I mean, we've got the frame and everything for the bleachers, but we don't have to use them if you don't think we need it.
Well, beside the bleachers, we have more clip, we can landscape the rest is.
You're talking about cost for the landscaping, which that's fine, but we just need to figure out a viable option.
I make a motion that we pursue bleacher options. Simply stated, take a look and see what we can do.
Okay? You and Josie wanna take that project
Yeah,
on?
we can do that.
I get to go to baseball games now?
No.
Okay, so, a motion that we explore bleacher options. Mitch and Josie will take that on.
Do I have a second?
Yep, that's what I'm saying. Do I have a second?
Second.
Ally, second. All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes.
No,
Go ahead.
no, I
Okay.
didn't get it up.
4-5, review, discussion, and possible action on restroom and concession stand replacement. We had talked about this before. We had entertained just some informal, information that people have given us, some contractors. The general consensus is that the buildings that we have down there now and the way they're sitting on the pads and the concrete breaking up and sinking in are not worth trying to repair to keep them. We had explored the possibility of, and I brought you pictures at one point in time, I don't know if you were here, Felipe, of containers. Now the big thing is taking a storage container and turning it into a restroom or taking it into a concession stand.
Sure.
Storage containers, we probably need 2 8x20s or 1 8x40. So we could make one end of it restrooms and one end of it concession stand. And have a small storage room in between. The storage containers, just an estimate, run anywhere from about 2,800 to like 4,500, depending upon where you get them. The suggestion was also made that if we decide to do that maybe the structures we had where the restroom and the concession stand were now, part of those might be able to be reinforced and we could use them as a storage room if we need. So those options are there too, but for the restroom and the concession stand, the recommendation was from 2 or 3 different people that I talked to, why don't you just do the storage containers, bring them in there. Worst case scenario is you gotta find a way to, wherever you put the restroom, to make sure you have the plumbing and can get it pumped to a pump station or whatever. And the restroom, the concession stand would be simple, you just cut the doors in there, put the security up, go in and insulate it, and then you can put anything in there you want. Doesn't have to be big.
Do we have anybody that works with,
I have 2 firms that I've asked. and they said they would both entertain bidding on it.
Fantastic, let's do it.
The
And it was a lot
Connex,
cheaper than building a restroom.
the Connex, people that I talked to, the ones we got the two for the Christmas storage, said the demand for Connex, trailers, whatever, has increased tremendously,
Mhm.
and they, when they get the Connex containers in, they go through them, and he said, that they would have some nice ones coming in after the first of the year. They're over, if I remember right, they're over by Pounds Field and Tyler, they're everywhere, that big city.
So do we want to explore that option?
Yes.
Okay, so Mitch, I hate to ask you to do this, can you call and check on the Connexes and bring it to us at the next meeting? We'll talk about what we wanna do as far as cost goes. Now, we're in between then and now, we'll also need to talk about, and I'll help you with this, or Josie or somebody can help you with this. Talk to somebody who refurbishes them and makes them into the, and see how much that cost is gonna be. I was told, and this is just a figure that was thrown out to me, to redo the two buildings that we have down there, shore the concrete up, they'd basically almost have to tear the structures down, because what's happening is
What building are we talking
the
about?
walls are spreading outward, so you can't,
Bathrooms
you
and
can't bring them,
concession.
you can't bring them back in. Okay, to make it stable, and, because they're afraid they're gonna fall in, you know. But to redo the buildings we have down there now and make an adequate restroom and a concession stand, you're talking anywhere from 60 to 90,000.
I make a motion on 4-5 that we proceed with, information on the restrooms and concessions, in the form of Connex trailers. I think that's the way to go.
I'll second that.
Yep, and I was told that, if we went Connex trailer wise, we could probably save half. So it would cost us half of what it normally would
Oh,
cost
I
us.
see a lot of positives, I can see there be a tornado place, you know,
We,
whenever.
That's true.
A place to,
Yeah.
for people
If
to
I
go.
remember right, Felipe, we paid $1,250 for each one of those.
It's gotta
And
be more than that.
they look, when we got them in here, they look brand
Some the other day,
new.
they're $6,500,
Huh?
depending upon where you get them at
Yeah.
and the size.
Well, and I
Today?
have, go ahead.
3 nights ago, cause I was looking at them, trying to determine how y'all were envisioning the restrooms to be done. So I Googled it and saw that they had they had the doors. I was thinking of the end entry, but they're using the side entry to where
Right,
they
they cut the
partition it
door.
off.
Yeah.
So if you're talking about a restroom and,
Weren't we told that, if you buy a Connex from some of these companies, they will fix it like you want it, they'll do the cut for the door?
I'm not sure about that. They may do it, I don't know.
Maybe that guy
your
over
biggest
there told you.
expense is gonna be the modification to the Connex,
Yeah.
I think, not the cost of it
Yeah,
actually.
right.
And if
I
you've ever
think-
noticed any of these things on the highway where they're selling fireworks out of, they have like cut open a window and it's
Right.
propped up. And that's the way they showed the concession stand, those pictures that he was talking about. It looked good.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be indestructible.
Yeah, that's the thing about it, is they make them, and that's what keyed me in to think about it, not to do it, but to think about it, is because those are, like you say, they can spray paint them, but you can put locks and things on there that make them virtually, I'm not gonna say they're 100%, because there's nothing 100%, but it mitigates and reduces the ability for them to get into it.
Did I make a motion?
Yes, and we have a second, have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Alright.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I think timeline wise, it might be much faster than building.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I agree
Now,
with
who,
you.
And cheaper.
who's gonna be in charge of that?
Mitch and
I'll
Josie.
I'll take it, cause I've already started working on it.
Okay.
Okay, 4-6, review, discussion, and possible actions on the installation of the storm siren system. I think we will all agree that we have been very fortunate this last year. You know, Cason's been wiped out, Hugh Springs got hit, or City got hit,
All you gotta do is drive by the site in Cason or
Yeah.
drive by the site in Hugh Springs and you
I don't-
understand how important this storm siren
I
system
don't
is.
wanna think that that's gonna happen, but you have to do what you have to do to reduce impact to our population. We had talked at one time about maybe as a city going out and getting the thing where you log on to your phone, but people didn't think that was a good idea, because there again, it costs money to do that and all that.
Well, what about that system with the tells us when somebody steals a kid from down South Texas?
That's kinda what we're talking about.
Right. Is that expensive?
It's a subscription? Is
It
a
depends
subscription?
on what route you go, who you get, there's some things, there's various options that you can use.
Can we look into that?
I've already looked into some, I looked into some last year, of course, the cost, it's not gonna be that, it depends on the route that you go.
I,
About $2,500 was one of the prices that I was told annually. But you can get the same notification from KLTV7. I mean, I get the notification when we had the tornado in Hugh Springs. I've been over here, I've got the
Me too.
notification. I understand the point of the storm siren, but how is that storm siren going to protect you? I mean, the only thing beneficial
Run
is
for
older
cover.
people that don't get text, they'll notify, you know, cause I've had people argue with me, discuss it both ways, and that's what my
Well,
discussion
and we
was.
have talked about, and here again, I'm not sure, you know, I'm not an expert in that field, but we have talked about trying to get a grant, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know if there's a possibility to get a grant for it.
it's possible, but you
AdCom,
gotta get to the right people.
Right.
I've talked to AdCom, they currently do not have anything available, but they are still keeping an eye out
Yeah.
for us in case something comes up.
I've got a new company. Last time I brought the representative of Storm Siren Systems out of Norman, Oklahoma, and he made a presentation. And I thought the city, back then, the city had the money, and I thought they were gonna go ahead and do it. The top of the line system is, you can activate it, you activate it over a cell phone. You punch in a code. Dangerfield's got the system that looks like it's the best. I think 4 guys get a notification that there's a tornado coming. And they punch in the code. They're authorized to punch the code. But we've talked about, some people can't hear it. And I think we need to investigate both systems. The siren and a
Telephone notification.
deal. We missed 3 bullets, babies. I saw one of those tornadoes come right across the lake. We missed it. We have dodged 3 bullets
I was in
and a
the
possible 4th last weekend.
I was in the Dangerfield Theater the night that tornado that tore up Hugh Springs, Hugh Springs. And half the people's cell phones in there were sounding off, and my iPhone watch was sounding off. I mean, it works.
Well,
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 it came on our TV.
it comes on your TV, but also if you connect up with any of your local, Channel 3, 12, 7.
Well,
They'll come
you
on
have
your
Unless your
phone.
TV goes
You
out.
have, if you go use a telephone, you have to
You
know
know how
the
DirecTV
process,
is.
and everybody needs to understand the process.
Yeah.
Well, that's
If
one
I'm
way.
sitting in a chair and there's a storm coming, I've got my phone here, and that thing starts wailing, whatever it does. Regardless, and I'll say this again, we've dodged at least 3, possibly 4 bullets. And, we need to do something. I've been trying for this for 6 years.
Well, and understand this too, you know, the city is trying to, they asked me to come to a meeting, it was informal, but they started talking about emergency management stuff. You know, because of everything that's happening all around us. And we need to make sure that our folks here in town have a good way of being notified. You know, it's not gonna stop a tornado from hitting, but if we can give them 2 minutes more notification and give them that much of a chance to get somewhere safe, by golly, it's worth it, I think.
If it saves one life.
Yes.
It's worth it.
You're exactly right.
And I'm surprised there's not a law in the state of Texas that every city has.
I'm surprised they don't offer more grants for it, to be honest with you. That's why-
Anyway, I've got this company, Safe Spec or something like that, coming to the EDC meeting next month.
So,
And they are the ones that put Dangerfields in place, and they've got state of the art there.
okay, so you're already looking into one part of that. Tina, you're looking into the other part, right?
I have to go back and
She's
look.
looking for that.
I looked at that one.
Felipe, would you be in contact with Tina and find out if she's need
Sure.
to do something to help on that?
Sure.
And that way we can at least start looking into it. I'm not saying we're gonna get something definite, but it gives us a possibility, you know?
Now, what is the rules? When can we talk to each other besides in this meeting here?
One-on-one,
Yeah,
that's it. Oh, if you wanna
Can't
talk,
get a group.
if you wanna talk to Mitch, you can talk to Mitch, but then you can't talk to Mitch and have me be there too. I mean, that's the rule.
or the,
You can't have more than two people that are on the corporation together for a meeting, or it's
so
considered.
two is okay.
Two is okay.
That-
More than two is not, that's
That's the
correct.
maximum.
Sir,
Two is the maximum.
But you
I
can't.
think we need to bring the cat out of the bag on this, is that the city does not have the money to pay for a system. like
no,
this.
and that's why we need to explore it, because talk to TML a little bit about it, I've gotta get back with them. What I'm wanting to do is, depending upon what the cost of it is, see if the EDC has money to supplement the city in some way, or loan them the money in some way, to get it and pay us back. I don't know, that's something we're gonna have to take to the city and discuss. But I wanna get all of our ducks in a row and find out what the possibilities are, what the options is, what the costs are, so we're intelligent enough when we go to the city council and say, you know, this is what we come up with as an option, you guys have to make a call. If they decide that's something they wanna do, then we can talk about that and working in conjunction with them to help them get that, at that point in time. I mean, I think that's the smartest thing for us to do.
Mitch, do you have any idea if the new system over in Dangerfield, assuming that it connects to, you were talking about cellular, and it also is a siren, does it send a cellular notification out at the same time as siren?
I'm not sure, but I can find out first thing in the morning, and I'll talk. I'll be sitting beside the guy that runs the Jim Cornelius. Fire chief.
Because,
The fire department is in control of their siren. And then one of the, I believe in Dansville, one of the authorized people to push the button and activate it is the police department.
cause in my mind, if you've got all of these television companies within the proximity of our area, 7, 3, 12, 6, and they're automatically sending out these notifications, they're out there catching these radars, they're giving you the notification. And if you have a way, if we have a way that we could link in to any of them through our system here.
The
to
only thing
notify-
I see that's a problem is the last 3 storms that's come through, my TV went off
Yeah.
almost immediately.
No, I'm talking about doing it through the phone,
Oh, yeah.
cellular. I'm not talking about the television,
Okay.
because, I mean, your cell towers could go
But,
down too.
See, here's the problem. Does everybody have a cell phone? Does everybody have a TV?
Well, that's true, but I'm gonna guarantee you, and it's an assumption, and I hate to use that word, but I would assume 95% of your residents in this town have a cell phone.
Yeah.
And probably 80 to 90% of them have a TV. They may not have anything else, but they will have those 2 items.
I personally don't care if they've got a TV, got a phone, or
Me either.
whatever. The people in Lone Star need to be protected with storm systems.
That's correct.
of
I
some
agree
shape
with
or
you
form.
100%. I agree with you.
Big
Some-
deal,
and some
big
I'm
deal.
people we
gonna throw
can,
something out,
some
too.
people we can't help, that's okay.
Not only the siren, but you know, there's really not a place for people to go to for shelter here,
Well, and one of
other than their little homes, you know.
Yeah. I know. Well, supposedly, and my understanding is when they were talking about this in this little meeting we had, I think the Baptist church or the Methodist church has said, you know, they would be a refuge for people to go to. I don't know about the Baptist encampment. I think they probably will be too. I'm trying to get it to where the Senior Citizens Association, I know it's not a structure like you could, it's a concrete building, but the thing about it is at least you could provide a place for people to go if something happens to their house and nothing happens to it, give them a place to go to where at least you can get coffee, water, or whatever, you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, we're working on places like that.
Do we need to check on that before the next meeting?
I think we do.
I
I'm
can
in a
ask,
meeting, I'll call you back in a few minutes.
I can ask the Methodist Church,
Okay?
and I can talk to the, Baptist encampment.
I think
They have a huge,
that should be in the form of a public meeting
Yes.
with, the city council running the meeting and get feedback.
I agree. And I'll take, if you want me to, I will take that
Yeah, get it?
to the city council next week.
so I can just find out if they are willing to be a shelter location.
Okay. I can ask the council
I
if they
don't
want
know
us to.
who's in charge of the Baptist church, but the encampment has a much better facility as far as, it has a room that seats 500.
Yeah, I've got the Baptist church.
You got the Baptist church?
Yeah, you're welcome,
So,
and you're welcome to come anytime.
yeah, but I mean,
Who's the pastor down there now?
So how are you gonna put this on?
He been there a while, hasn't he?
well, next month,
Yeah,
next
it's
month,
getting
we'll
up
put
in
it on
age.
the agenda.
Huh?
Getting up in age.
Next week as far as the council.
If I walked
I
through
think
the
we'll
door
wait
and
till
became
the
a
fall
member of the
month,
Lone Star
because
Baptist
Mitch is
Church, I
trying to
would
get
probably
people-
have the longest tenure of anybody down there.
You're already.
My mama used to make me sit on the
Yes.
front pew.
We're just going
every
behind the scenes.
time the
looking
door
at
was
stuff.
open.
You're still a member
See
there.
what we come up with.
Huh?
You're still a member there.
Probably, I've never removed it.
You never removed
I
it.
heard put his church
So,
on, he did
okay,
church
so let me ask
on
this
the
question.
club babies. Come
Hang
on,
on.
we're going to church.
Hang on, let me ask this question. Do we want to, make a motion that we're gonna look into anything with this, or we wanna just,
I think we need to.
okay, so somebody
I
make
make
a
a
motion?
motion that we started the investigation,
Emergency.
emergency, what do you call it?
Sites,
Emergency site,
shelters,
Yeah,
emergency
shelters.
shelters.
Yeah.
And
Okay, the
and
top
that
No,
we-
well, but this has to do with the storm siren,
And that we received storm siren people on the 16th of
February,
February.
that is the council meeting. We'll put that on the, as far as we'll put that on the council agenda
Okay.
for February.
Because
So
they're
you're making-
coming, they're,
And the requirement is that they would have water, restrooms.
Yes, but we
In case
really
you-
can't,
This is not, this
we
is the
can't
storm
make that
siren.
motion here tonight, we can look at it informally, okay?
Well, I can just ask,
Yes,
you know.
ma'am, that's fine.
Water,
Okay, so
restroom.
our
So you're making
motion,
a motion to proceed forward with the information on storm
yes, ma'am,
siren?
Yes.
yes, ma'am.
That's a good idea.
and present that to the city council on February 16th.
I don't know, they would need bottled water, I'm sure.
I didn't catch your name.
Josie,
Josie? And your last name?
Catchton.
Just, who seconded that?
I made the motion.
I need a second, second, right?
You know me, Enrique.
All in favor?
You look very familiar. I thought you
All
were
in
a
favor?
All
stormer.
in favor?
I am.
You're a stormer?
All in favor?
In
All in
favor.
favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay,
Oh, you're a stormer, Justin?
Yes, I'm the littlest.
need a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second? All in
Aye.
favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
Yes, do you
I
have a
will
number?
get you, sir.
Have you heard anything about the motel?
My understanding with that is there is an issue with the state as far as the fire system goes. Mr. Munoz, my understanding, I'm not third-party information, but I understand that he's wanting to do something to reduce the requirement that he has to have fire suppression system. And the state, I don't think is that receptive, it could be, but I'm not sure about that. That's just what I'm hearing, so that's what the hangup is. I know that Randy's been in contact with him, but I don't know what.
Is that water? Like a work?
Sprinkler system?
Sprinklers? Overhead sprinklers?
Yeah, it's something, and I'm not sure about the requirement, but it's something about the number of rooms and square footage you have in rooms, you have to have a fire suppression system.
See you again.
You too.
Have a good
Thank you all.